After about one of his so one of way Allah deals with it, the way Allah treats us, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behaves with humanity, with us. So in Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawm. So Allah says that He la yughayyir will not change, will not cause like a evolution. La yughayyir ma biqawm. Whatever the condition of a group of people is, and qawm is quite a general word. The Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses to address the community. Sometimes it's used to address the world, all of the human planet. They could be just a group of people as well. It could just be a small group of people, like family, or just people living in a very close space. So Allah says, you will not change the condition of this of the world or the small group. Allah won't change the world or the community or the people. Hatta until this next thing. And in this first bit, Allah attributes this change. So the change, the overall change that happens in the world, the big change. And if we think about the world, naturally we can probably know the beauty of the world, the lovely things going on in the world, or naturally what comes to our the problem, conflicts, the wars, oppression, especially against our brothers and sisters, what comes to our mind, the world. And as soon as that comes to mind, what do we want to do? We want to do everything that we can to change it. We want to change the world. We want to stop oppression, to make the world better. But in this part of this verse, Allah attributes this overall change. So Allah says, who's going to do this big change? And Allah says, Inna Allah, Allah will not make change. Ultimately, the change in the world and the change in the community, our family, even the change in our spouse, which we want to see, the change in the world is going to take place by Allah. Allah will change it. So Allah says, you won't change until those people, the individuals, the people that make up that community, the people that make up the house, the people that make up the community, or every human on the face of the earth, the individuals حتى يغيروا ما that thing بأنفسهم, which is wrong with them, or which is up, which is going on in their lives. So internally, nafs generally refers to our internal. So until we become aware of our internal, or we become aware of what's going on with us, or what's going on with our lives, or even with our mind, until we become aware of that, and حتى يغيروا, until we start to enter some kind of transformation, and we enter a state where we're now evolving into the next level of ourselves, then Allah says that the world will change. And this kind of, the verse gives us lots of things. Hopefully, just by reading the verse, listening to the English, going through the translation, it gives us its own meaning. We see what Allah is trying to tell us. Naturally, as humans, we like to panic. And naturally, when we think about the world, we think of what's going wrong. But Allah says that's not really the point. The point isn't for you to transform the world. Maybe an aim, maybe something. We think of the Prophet he came with something which transformed the world, but ultimately he didn't. Before he passed away, the entire world didn't. But Islam before he done his mission, he propagated the message. But the change which we're going to see in the world isn't necessarily our responsibility. Otherwise, the Prophet So otherwise, if we look at all of the Anbiya, the messengers, simple example, story which many of us will know is the story of Nuh when he built his ark, birthday, and most of humanity perished. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala still describes him as one of the most successful human beings to ever walk on this planet. All of these messengers which come in the Quran came to their people and were ultimately rejected and sometimes exiled and go away, sometimes they went to prison, sometimes they went to hiding. And they had to leave their people, but Allah describes them still as the most successful men ever walk on the face of the earth. So the success isn't measured by how many people converted to Islam. We want to put it into a chart. Nuh alayhi salam, he gave da'wah for how many years? 950 years. 950 years. And he's giving this da'wah. And then how many people accepted Islam? Few people, a handful. We had numbers 80, 90, less than 100 generally. People actually reverted to Islam because of its 950 years of constant da'wah, of calling people. The entire surah of the Quran, calling people, explains its da'wah. And an interesting thing is the Quran doesn't actually even mention the number of how many people converted to Islam. It doesn't tell us how successful it was. It doesn't tell us the metric which we as humans, we like to see like how successful was it. We decide based on how the Quran doesn't even tell us the number. It's irrelevant. Why? So what do you need to know? You need to know that this most successful person did was his job. And his job was to give da'wah. All people, and he done his job. What we're taking away here is that the outcome, which is not many people accepted Islam, is not what Allah looks at. And this is not the metric Allah takes. We live in a materialistic world where we're kind of judged based on our outcome, how much we achieve, how much we have, how much high performance we can kind of give. But Allah doesn't always look at outcome. Allah instead looks at the effort, like what you put into it, and the intention and the sincerity. And that's what Allah looks at. And with Nuh alayhi salam, that's what makes sense. And we see this pattern repeated in the Quran over and over again. Just coming back to that verse, Inna Allah, verily Allah, won't change the world until we make some effort to change it. And Nuh alayhi salam put his effort onto it. And we have a responsibility to put the effort there. But ultimately, it's not our job to make that change. We're not responsible if the change happens. Examples of this are when we have messengers whose own family, who they would have loved the most, their wives or their children. In Nuh alayhi salam's example, his child, his son, where the Quran explains his son didn't become a Muslim. And obviously, as a messenger, for those of us that have children, there would be our primary focus. But again, success isn't judged by whether your kids do what you tell them, or ultimately whether they're guided, because guidance is not in our hands. It's out of our control. There are some things which are in our control, and that's what we are required to focus on. And this is like very powerful. When we start paying attention to what is in our control, we can bring our attention to every relationship we have. So the big relationship between us and our spouse, we're married. Like that relationship, how much of a part we play? As a percentage, we pay how much? 50%. We are 50% of that relationship. The relationship exists now with all of its beauty or all of its not so beauty. The relationship's there and we play a part in it. But still, whether we think it's terrible or whether we think it's out of control and we can't save it, we still, every time we walk into the house and walk into that relationship, we're still contributing. We're still deciding 50% of what's going on there. And that's just a big relationship with our spouse. Relationship we have with our parents, if it's kind of needs work, it needs some waiting, it needs some effort to be put behind it for us to kind of build that relationship with our parents. Then again, every time we spend time with our mother or our father, again, we're contributing 50% to that environment. What are we, how are we waking that up? And just to go a bit deeper, just simply on the level of emotion, Like there's an emotion, there isn't. There's a level of love, hopefully, between our spouses and which we have for our parents. Those of us that are parents, for our kids. We have love for our kids, and there's a relationship there. Even if we're parents, we 50% the relationship with our kids. So if we want love there, if we want love to be ignited, if we want love to come alive, then every time we come into that vicinity, every time we're speaking, then there's things we can do, or there's things which we already do, which get rid of that love, or there's things we can do which can ignite, bring that love alive. And what is it that we do when we bring that? And go, like, what about anger? Like, how much anger do we bring into our relationship with us, with our parents, with our children? These people who are very, very important now. Like, how much do we bring anger? How much do we bring frustration? How much do we like outbursts? And how much discipline is it? How much is it that we're actually trying to control? And the ultimate thing of this verse, Inna Allah la yughayyir, Allah will not change the environment of our house, or the relationship with our spouse, or the relationship with our parents, or the relationship which we have with our kids, until we take some kind of responsibility for the 50% which we play in that relationship. And we actually think, like, how much do I contribute? Because naturally, what do? We do the opposite. We say, oh, it's impossible to live with these people. I can't deal with these people. These people are impossible. And it's beyond, like, you can't salvage the relationship anymore. So we put, it's not in my control, and everything's gone out the window. But Allah tells us here, regardless of where you are now, regardless of how the home is, regardless of how the environment, the change will only happen from you. It's only from you that change will happen. And even if we think just on an emotional level, if we make an intention, what emotion would we want to infuse into those relationships? Would we want it to be anger? In which case we'd have to learn how to get really angry all the time. If we wanted it to be love, we'd have to do basic things which increase love, like showing that we care. If we're not good at that, pretending that we love, pretending that we care, writing things to other people like we care about, speaking to them, spending time with them, looking at them in their eyes, asking them how they are. All of these basic things increase the love within these people. And that's just on the emotional level. And this verse brings us back to that. We play that part. We play that part in our families and in the wider community. Any relationship which is messed up, there's something that we did as well to make that bit messed up. There's something that we contributed to that relationship, and we still, until this day, even if we're not talking to someone, we still contribute 50%, and we have all that power to do something about that relationship. And this is like the power that Allah gives us here. In reality, for you to see that change, see what you can do, because sometimes we do this. And a good example is, like, imagine if there was a big hall. Let's imagine this room, not that big, but imagine there was this hall all the way to the back, and the lights were out, and it was night time, and there was no electricity, and it was all dark. Nobody could see anything, and we all just sat here and we said, "Oh, we can't see." We all have our phones in our pockets, and everyone's just saying, "No, we can't see anything. It's so bad. The world's so dark. How are we ever going to survive?" And we all just started complaining about the darkness. Or we could instead be people who would look at the darkness and say, "Well, I've got my phone, and I can do this thing where I can turn the screen light on, or I can turn the torch on." And obviously it was dark, you realize. But if it was darkness and one person turned their torch on, it would illuminate a little bit of the room. Now you can say, "Oh, that's not enough. All we've done is change one corner of the room, or this little bit of the room. That's not made any difference to the dark. Let's turn it back off again." But if every single person in the room, if all of us sitting here, if it was darkness and we all turned the light, then what would happen to the room? Not rocket science, basic. We'd all be able to see. So just by everyone turning on a small torch or lighting a candle in traditional terms, if we all lit that candle and thought, how can I contribute to the illumination of the room? How can I make the lights turn on? How can I make other people see? How can I be a means of guidance? How can I be a means of light in that room? And when we think like that, and then the simplest thing of lighting a candle or turning our torch on, suddenly the whole room is illuminated. Because every one of us has a unique sphere of influence. Our relationships with the people around us is unique. Nobody else in the world has the same relationship to the people that around us that we have. The relationship I have with you people is unique to me. Only I have that. And the relationship you have with me is unique as well. And the effect that we can have on the world because of that unique influence is unique to us. If we decide to, instead of just letting it be, we actually focus on that 20% we have. If there's 5 people living in our house, we contribute 20% to that environment. And instead of, oh, the 80% is so, impossible to live with, so therefore I can't do it. And if we actually brought that attention in Allah, Allah will not change that 80% until we think about the 20% which we're contributing to those 5. And one more example from the Quran. Like I said, this is a repeated theme of the Quran. In the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, when he went to, big story, if we know the story, great. He went to prison, there was 2 other people in the prison, and he started giving da'wah to them, he started speaking. The Quran records it. The Quran records the da'wah, just like Noah alayhi salam. And the question is, did they become Muslim? Who knows? No? Yes? No? The answer, what's the right answer? The Quran, exactly. We don't know. The Quran doesn't tell us. Same as Nuh alayhi salam. We don't actually know how many people converted to Islam because the outcome is so irrelevant. That's not part of the story. His job was to give da'wah. His job was to do his bit. His job was to make an effect. His job was to see if he can spark the light of Iman in these people. And that was his job. He'd done his job. And he's one of the most successful people to walk on the face of the earth. And we as humans, again, for our success, we have a responsibility to see how much light we can infuse into every one of our relationships and to all of the people that we have. So I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us all the ability to find our light, to spread our light. The adhan has been done.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The donation boxes are coming. Please don't send it. Last Friday's collection was £1,035.55. £1,035.55. Jazakumullah khair for your donation. Inshallah, next week, our transmitter for the Adhan will go in. Inshallah. So the date next week, the transmitter for the Adhan will go in. From next week, hopefully, or beginning of next week, we'll start doing the Adhan. So plus you can receive the Adhan at home. So the previous one will still should be working. And we had the range has been updated. So it will double the range from the last time we had the transmitter. So for this, you have to order. If anybody don't have, anybody want to have the receiver, they can order. The brother Faisal Ahmad will take the number and telephone. If you want it, please put your name down, your name and telephone number. He will take it outside when you go out. So please, if anybody wants it, please put your name down so you can order them. Unless you order them, you won't get them. So receiver, if you order them, brother Faisal will take it, name outside, name and telephone number. Please see him. And just a reminder that please do not go outside on the footpath. Keep the footpath clear. Let the people go through the pedestrians to make it easy for everyone. So, don't say anything to us. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. There will be a couple of.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الحمد لله الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما يحب ربنا ويرضى والصلاة والسلام على نبيه المصطفى ورسوله المجتبى وعلى آله وصحبه أولي الفضل والتقى. أيها المسلمون، إن أحوال المسلمين على مستوى الأفراد وعلى مستوى الأمة ككل لن تنصلح إلا إذا أصلح الناس أحوالهم وعادوا إلى حياد دينهم وابتعدوا عن الذنوب والمعاصي وخرجوا من غمرات الملاهي والغفلات واستسلموا لله بدل استسلامهم للشهوات. لا بد أن ننصر الله ودينه حتى ينصرنا عز وجل، فهو القائل: إن تنصروا الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم. لا بد من الصبر والتقوى حتى نتخذ حصانة من كيد الأعداء. يقول سبحانه: وإن تصبروا وتتقوا لا يضركم كيدهم شيئا إن الله بما يعملون محيط. هكذا إخوة الإيمان لا تكون السعادة ولا تكون الحياة الطيبة الحنيئة ولا يكون الجزاء الحسن يوم القيامة يوم الحسرة والندامة إلا بالالتجاء إلى الله وبالابتسام والتمسك بحبله والاتباع الصادق لنبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم. يقول سبحانه: من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون. إن الله سبحانه يغير حال الفقر إلى حال الغنى وييسر الأرزاق إذا غير الناس ما بأنفسهم فوثقوا فيما عند الله وابتعدوا عن الحرام وسعوا إلى طلب الحلال. يرزقهم إذا حققوا التقوى والتوكل فهو القائل: ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا. هذه إخوة الإيمان سنن الله في تغيير أحوال الناس، وهذه تعاليمه سبحانه وتوجيهات نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم للمسلمين لكي ينالوا سعادة الدنيا والآخرة. فعدوا عليها بالنواجذ ودعوها في سويداء القلوب وذكروا أنفسكم بها فإن الذكرى تنفع المؤمنين. نسأل الله تعالى أن يعلمنا ما ينفعنا ويهدينا إلى خير القول والعمل، والحمد لله في المبدأ والنهاية. الحمد لله، الحمد لله على إحسانه والشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الداعي إلى رضوانه. اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد البشير النذير والسراج المنير. وارض اللهم عن الأربعة الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي، وعن بقية الصحابة وعن التابعين وتابع التابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم بعفوك وكرمك وإحسانك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين. اللهم انصر المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم ارفع كرباتهم. اللهم فرج همهم وغمهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم أغن فقراءهم واشف مرضانا ومرضاهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم وحد صفوفنا وألف بين قلوبنا ووحد كلمتنا واجعلنا كالبنيان المرصوص ووسع مداركنا لكي لا نغضب إلا لك ولحرماتك ونور عقولنا لنقول. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. واذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Please ensure the rows are straight across the seating gaps in front. Please quickly move forward to the mid. So the brothers at the top are requested to quickly just come forward and put in the gap. And obviously the gaps at the top now, so brothers back up to 0 versus 4. So when this prayer starts, we don't have any gaps. So if you see any gaps in front of you, or to your left or your right, move into them. The aim is to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder. Please make sure your mobile phones are not going to make Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى وما يغني عنه ماله إذا تردى إن علينا للهدى وإن لنا للآخرة والأولى فأنذرتكم نارا تلقى لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتولى وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. The brother Islam اشتياقي father husband don't make requested and praise for them the work go everybody's requested to pray for all of the Muslims that come away for the pure بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الشكر اللهم انت على كل شيء قدير اللهم انا نسالك ان تصلي على سيدنا وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا ربنا انا ظلمنا انفسنا فان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا اللهم لا تكلنا الى انفسنا اللهم ات نفوسنا تقواها وزكها انت خير من زكاها انت اللهم اغفر لحينا وميتنا شاهد وصغيرنا وكبيرنا وكبيرنا اللهم من احييته منا فاحيه بالاسلام ومن توفيته اللهم انا نسالك من خير ما سالك ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين. Everybody requested to keep the